Welcome back to another episode at The Heart Speaks. We have so many more people today. It just increased more and more. Like, we have been gone for a month. So we just had a very intensive 1-week workshop. We're going to be presenting in Esplanade, but by the time this video is out, we have already presented. So,
Hi, I am Renice, but you guys know me. Okay, so the show that we are going to be doing, the performance is called Bonfire. Why Bonfire? I don't know. I realized that I am the kind of artist that proposes something, and only after I do the work halfway, then I am like, oh, this is what I'm searching for. I know that there are some people who go into work with a very clear question. I realized that questions take their time to form and come to me. But over the course of the week, we have been exploring what is the meaning of entering the fire. Because fire has such a bad rep for destruction, and personally, I also wanted to find a way to make a work alive, but not born out of the intellect or the mind. And also, how can something be emergent and organic, but still be inside a kind of container? So that's what I've been searching for.
thank you. Yeah, honestly, after doing this workshop, I have felt a lot of heat in me, externally and internally, a lot of fire. So I'm going to pass the mic to the right. We'll do a quick one. How about you introduce your name and who you are?
Hi, I am Valencia. Who am I? I am a currently freelancing Pilates instructor, but I have a degree in performance making from NAFA. So my foundation was actually in theatre, so in performance. Why am I here? I met Wu Shiren, theatre, Renice and Julian about, I think, 2 years ago. And there was always interest to work together, I suppose. But then this opportunity came, so I was invited to join, and then I am here. Yay!
Hi, I'm Yochi。我是友琪，我来自台湾。然后呢，我觉得我在这里的原因是因为我一直在目前在新加坡学习的过程中，就是我探索到很多我在台湾还没有遇过的训练方法跟那个状态，然后我也很好奇，就是想要继续去探索，然后去看到底那个 fire 是什么样子。所以我在就这几天来说，我看到了很多那种小小的火光在出现，然后它给了我好多个方向，然后我就觉得很享受在跟大家一起工作的过程中。Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mei Fei. I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer, but I have been, I guess, trying to evolve or push my practice towards something that is beyond labels. So I guess that's why I'm here, because I think it's always good to work with people you've never worked with and like just throw yourself out there into the unknown. And sometimes only when you do that you can discover who you are, whereas if you're always working with something familiar, then sometimes we take for granted who we are. Yeah, so I guess for me it's a journey of self-discovery. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa. My practice is in contemporary dance. My background is also in human-computer interaction, so for me it's kind of navigating the two worlds of technology and body, and then finding myself kind of struggling in the middle of that. I came first for Hik Song Leong, and I think I really connected with everyone, and I found myself seeing a lot of parallels between a lot of the contemporary dance practices, like contact improvisation, with what we do here. But it's a different lens, it's a different side of the coin, but it's like questioning very similar themes that I was very interested to explore with everyone and kind of go on this journey and not have to plan things, but let things emerge. Like that's really my biggest takeaway, that I don't have to be anxious about like things not happening, because it will, and I just need to give it the time and patience for it to happen.
Hi, I'm Jie. My background is in psychology, and then I used to do theatre, and then now I'm dabbling more into contemporary dance and then movement. I think why I wanted to join was because I think I'm in a phase where I'm very interested in movement and how the body moves, and so I just want to like absorb from different people and places, like how different people explore body, because I feel like for me, a lot of times, I prefer embodiment using the body rather than text or like words or like, yeah. So, but then I feel like I'm still in the exploration phase. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
My name is Yoshi, and shout out Hickson Leons. I'm a bastard performer too. Yeah, like I really am. Perfect way to like sum up who I am. I started with street dance and tons of different like genres, and just never really sort of knowing where I belonged in a certain sense. Like there's always that struggle, so many different genres, and then injury led me to contemporary like sort of approaches to movement, and then here I am, still trying to unpack that much more. It's become more of a examination of the journey through like a life, I think, like the experiences that have happened to me, and okay, what is this, like what's going on, like where am I, what's happening to my body, and what can I do at that point. And I think like that was the perfect crossroads for where Wushu came in. I first watched How I Learned to Love the World Again at Stanford. I think the Stanford was the full length. Changed me like completely. I just, oh my goodness. And then Hickson Leons, like I went for the workshop on the last day, and so many different things came in. Just such a privilege to sort of experience the work in this sense and the presence of everybody else here. And yeah, when I got the call, of course, I just like straight away, yes, yeah, that's me, yeah.
I'm Alex. I'm just a very, very small student that's just learning all sorts of things that I'm interested in. And I've actually met Renis and Julian like 2 years ago when I was in Gay Pin Lao Shi's workshop. And actually that workshop was like, Teacher Ray, Mr. Ray was like, hey, go train your workshop. I was like, okay, fine, yeah, I'll go for it. And I was amazed by that workshop because my whole shirt was wet. Like every day I have to change, like, and I noticed something after attending all the workshops and plus this, right? It's like, if you attend Renee's workshop, please prepare one extra shirt. Your shirt will definitely get wet. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Then the reason I joined this open call is because I also watched their debut performance, and I really loved it because how they are using physical movement into a theatre and just telling the story in physical theatre way, but in terms of like, they're not using text, they're not heavily relying on text to tell the story, and whenever they move, the energy, the impulse is there. This is what I'm like, oh, it's so good, like I want to do something similar work like what they provide as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy. I am a performance making student, aren't we all? And then the reason why I'm here is because I also met Julian, Renis, and Beatrice from a workshop, and like I really love their energy, and like I just had so much fun with them. And I thought like, okay, if I like them so much, I'll probably like their works. So I really, really wanted to learn from them because you guys do like Tai Chi, which is very niche here in Singapore at least, and like I feel like it's a very grounded practice, and so like I always wanted to find out more, and I'm here because like, I mean, it's always nice to be surrounded by a lot of people who are like-minded, and like I think I'm at the stage where I'm discovering and like deconstructing what it means to make meaningful work, and meaningful to whom, and who am I to dictate what is meaningful. And so I think like when I'm surrounded by other people, and I think trying to figure out what they think as well, and then I'm trying to like slowly understand more about the world. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
I'm so interested to know how this process has been like for everybody, because everyone comes from such a different background. We have dancers here, we have theatre practitioners, and I think in the process you can tell that dancers and theatre students think very differently. We are trained to be very sensitive to different things. And in this piece, I've also deliberately strayed away from more conventional modes of performance making. So I'm very interested to know now, like, after the whole 5 days, how is it like for you guys? If anyone wants to share their experience.
It's been very refreshing for me because it's been a year since I graduated from school. So since a year since I've been doing this artistic ventures, and then a couple of months since I last attended the workshop here at Ushiren. So previously in my degree, it's already a familiar interaction to have with dancers because we work with dancers in our school. But when coming into this space and working not just with like contemporary or ballet dancers, but also like hip hop dancers, Indian classical dance, and seeing how different each person's practice is, there's always this question that I always hear: how do we have the form and then break the form? And I was like, oh, okay. And then everyone has very different perspectives, and I find that when we all have different niche, we have a eye to see the same thing but in very, very different perspectives, and it places value in the piece that we are creating in, where I find that, I feel, this is my personal sentiment, I feel like if people will watch, we will all have very different interpretations, right? Theatre is just up to their own interpretations, but I believe that no matter what the interpretation is, every part of it is extremely valuable because all of us coming from different perspectives place in what we value into the work. So even if we don't see A but we see B, overall it still creates a meaningful piece of work that can resonate with different people but still connect us all, although it might be different. That's how I feel about how we have been working with Bonfire and how it is at this stage.
It's really difficult to encapsulate in words right now. I think it's still cooking. Off the top of my head, I think it's really being forced to confront what performance means for me. Because I've not done anything like this before. The way that theatre practitioners plan and move things around and what you channel through and all those things, I don't have that training. The way that we are trained is technique, phrases, movements, go here, go there, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know where to start, where to end. Even within improv itself, I think there are frames still, I think, in a certain sense. You might go, normal 5, 6, 7, 8, like along there as well. You might ignore the beats altogether and you still, but doing this, there is also like an opening in a sense where what I thought was sort of like away from the structure in what I thought is actually not as away from the structure as I thought it would be. It can be that much more. And so like being here, I know I'm like going in circles in a way because it's really very difficult to like explain. There are parts where we are constantly told to don't plan, like just like react. There are several like keywords that they use all the time. Follow the impulse. What is it? Go. There is like, and I think as a dancer, I'm always like asking, is it like this? Do we do like this? Yeah. Especially the singing. Oh my goodness, the singing. Yeah, it's like with Julian. So it's like, like how do I? And then he's also trying to get me to, project. I'm trying, I can't do it. Like, what does it mean to follow the impulse? Like what does it mean? What does it actually mean? And I find that there are more questions than there are answers, which is a great place to be. Like I think, what's one of the questions? It just comes one after the other, like, okay, like, is there a right way to sing? And then like, no, but then there's also a right way to sing. Is there a right way to dance? Yes, but then also no, not really, right? Then if there's a student that's coming in, okay, show me how to do a pirouette. Is there a right way to do a pirouette? Yes, there is like a, right, but that is like, there's just like the questions that I'm being forced to like sort of just confront the idea of right versus not right. We throw this around a lot in terms of like, and we are very fast to sort of like, in the liberal age now, to just go like, no, everything is up to you. So we're kind of like pushing that phase now in that sense where we're, but then structure is also just as important. Yeah, I was having the conversation with Yoqi, do you recall?
譬如说，现在做 contempt 就是当代的东西的时候，我们会想说，哦，当代就是我们要打破很多过去，譬如说 modern dance or something。但是我自己在做的过程中会觉得，如果我只是没有思考，或者是没有一些 structure 的时候，我乱做，其实那会是一个很凌乱的东西。但是某方面我还是很感谢以前有 modern 或有 ballet 的经验，所以我才有办法让我在 improve 的时候，我有东西可以去用。我觉得它会是一个选择跟一个工具，让你可以在 improve 的时候找到你想要表达的方式。
Yeah, that's basically it. And so like, just like, I think on a very personal note, I really am a bastard performer. In the truest sense of the word, I don't have formal training in pretty much any of the genres that I've touched. Yeah, so like even amongst the dancers, the dance scene itself, there are moments where I think I'm afraid to allow myself to be seen. So what Julian said was you have to let yourself be heard. I think if you want to project, like in that sense, you need to want to be heard. If not, it will just like here. That I have not gotten over that yet. I really haven't, because that came with a lot of unpacking to do. Why don't I want to be heard? Why don't I want to be seen? And I realize it's also because like I keep putting up formal training as the benchmark, the standard, and because I never had any of that, it was always difficult for me to sort of measure myself by that standard when all of my peers seem to have formal trainings in those areas, and even the hip hop dancers would commit like straight up, like hip hop all the way, and I would do it like for 2 years ish, and I'm just, this is not quite it, and I always thought that the problem was me. So it was me, but not in me in the sense, but it was more of like I think I wasn't asking the right questions in terms of what it is that I wanted to be. And so Ushuran really and I think this whole experience really opened that up for me. I'm so grateful for that. So I can't come from a place of like, know your foundations, man, because the truth is I'm also a bastard performer. I like know my foundations, but like it's very specific to me and not necessarily in the sense of like a contemporary dancer or a hip hop dancer or a Bharatanatyam dancer, right? Like you're very clear in terms of that. But my foundations are very specific to me. So that's always been very difficult to reconcile with in the space, and so Ushuran has really opened up that whole jar of questions for me to answer for the next 10 years. That's what it's like for me. Yes.
But you're a damn cool performer.
Hey, no.
I was also thinking like branching out. What is technique? Is technique like something that comes through after you forget about it? It's like 你卸掉了过后，你才发现你有的东西吗？ Like what is true technique? You know?
我有点想要分享这个，就是我会觉得，我们不是会去学跳舞或者是学什么，我们是在学院里面去学东西，所以它是一个被架构好的东西。然后当我们离开学院的时候，我们才会发现，哦，我们要的是什么。但是所有的 technique 它都是因为本能所以出来，就是我当时有 impulse， 所以这个出现，人大家看到哇好酷的，我们去学这个。But 你们就是大家在学的时候，我们不知道我们自己为什么做这件事情。但是当你有这些东西之后，你出去之后，你才会发现，哦，原来我会在这个时候的情况下，我会去做这些事情。我觉得这个在这次我也很想分享的是，就是在戏剧里面，我们theater里面，我们也会打破一些东西 ，because 我们会在找你不是剧本，然后你看着剧本，然后你就去做，你一定是要去找它背后的动机是什么。所以我很感谢这一次的工作坊，就是好像大家都真的是我们知道我们自己在做什么，所以我们做，然后都是很直接的情绪，很直接的哦，我很开心，很直接的我发出声音，所以我在找我的声音在哪里，然后我的内心的那个火它慢慢的出来，慢慢的出来，然后你去抓那个，它就算只有一点点，但是你还是一直在去找它到底是什么，那个是好像是你自己真的最真实本能的那个火光在出现这样子，
I think there's this image that emerged like with all this discussion is that it's like the world is like a piece of paper and we're all a fountain pen. So whatever we learn is like a tool that makes our pen work the way we want it to. Like, for example, today I really want my pen to be very light because I want to write a lot and it's not just for signing today. Then how would I want to shape my pen today, and what kind of tools and like how can I make that shape happen. And then we go and learn like how to make that shape, how to like use a tool to make that shape, and then what kind of shape is it really for ourselves. And then so I think like that's a kind of technique, but I think technique really starts with intention. Like you have to be clear with like what you want and what is it for, and then you can, you know, really like learn it properly. I mean, sometimes some people like learn certain tools without like an intention, and then later on figure out what they want to use it for. So I think, yeah, it's always good to collect these things. Like from Ushu and I collected a lot of things also, right? Like, yeah, like the tiny dance and everything. Like these exercises are all tools that help us like shape our pens whenever we need it to work a certain way. Yeah.
I came in because I was bursting to say something. Yeah, it was along the lines of I think what Yoshi was talking about. Like, when you hit a certain frontier where you want to do something, but then you realize you cannot, or it's a struggle. And for my case, it was movement for the longest time. I cannot improvise move for nuts.
Yeah, he was like this.
So stiff. Wow. I can share with you a video of my younger self dancing. Wow, like a brick.
It's on YouTube.
And I guess what I wanted to say was that we are working in such a big group. In the past, I would always work in very small groups, so we have the chance to dissect to a very deep degree, like, now you need to sing. You see the fear, or you see the self-consciousness, break it. There's only one step, which is now. Then, and then you attempt over and over. It was very painful and difficult, actually. Of course, after a while, I would get through. But with this group, I was surprised that we don't have that much time to go very deep. But yet, I feel like we accomplished so much. I feel like the only way for that to occur is that everyone was actually really giving it their best in their own journey. You know what you need to do, figure it out slowly, and to be so open, so trusting, so incredible. I see everyone improving, like in terms of their own openness, their hearts being revealed so big. So beautiful to watch. Thank you, everyone.
Yay, and I also wanted to say, because on that note of Julian talking about doing the best, like I thought it was actually so precious that at one point, when we ended our first like full run, and in my mind, in my technical side of my mind, I was thinking of all like the details, like, oh, this thing was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Then everyone's questions and thought processes was like, it literally made me remember about why we do this in the first place. Like going back to questions of the self, like when someone tells you to do something, do you just follow it for the sake of listening and following, or like sometimes you forget to ask yourself, actually, why am I doing this? And then I thought it was just so beautiful how each one of us have such different perspectives. I was like, we are all doing the same similar action in a way, blah, blah, or something. We're all in the same like structure, but yet all of our thought processes are so different. And it just makes you wonder about how we go through life in a system, or like in the way that we do things. And it becomes so robotic, and we forget how like each one of us have this fire, or like this little spark that is so different, and it's just amazing to see. So I remembered why we do art in general, because as you mentioned of like how each piece would always be different for someone else, even the actors.
Can I ask everyone here, like, right now, what is meaningful work to you?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, meaningful work just means that it's honest work. And I think being honest comes from going back to just being human, right? Because I feel like sometimes with art, and it's not a wrong or bad thing, we do chase after ideals. There is some sort of a convergence, okay, we are trying to look for this, but then sometimes we forget that before all the art making, we are just humans, right? Before all the labels, we were just doing things without knowing, oh, this is called dance, this is called acting, this is writing. And it's to really go back to that place of what is this feeling inside, and how do I bring this feeling out or maybe to externalize it. And yeah, and I think especially working with people around, it's important to really listen and tune into each other, which I feel we really did in this work. And that sometimes it's really about just balancing between articulating and listening, and also allowing things to be fluid, because sometimes we feel like this is our perspective, but actually when you listen to something else you might slowly get convinced, and we must be okay to let go of what we thought we knew. Yeah, so to me that is being honest, which is what does it mean to be human. Yeah.
So I think lately I've been exploring a lot of choreography and creation and learning different methods from different people. And I think there is one part of the dance world where choreography is very cognitive. It's very like you plan out, you listen to the music, you plan this out, and it's very heavy on the brain. And for me, it never felt intuitive. Like I can improv to music, fine, but once you ask me to choreograph, I just felt like I'm stuck. And lately, I've been feeling that maybe my way of creation is more like discovery, and goes back to your point about being honest, where like discovering what, like planting a seed and then discovering what the seed wants to grow, and then kind of providing the conditions for that and nurturing that, and then almost being surprised by how it's growing or what it's growing into. And I feel that what we have here, it's kind of like this organic emergence of like the piece being co-created by everyone, even though there was a structure in place. And it does make me question of like, oh, for the pieces that I'm choreographing, you know, how do I want to approach the choreography where maybe I don't need to decide everything beforehand, and maybe I can just start at the beginning and see what comes out of it, and that informs like everything else that comes after. So yeah, it's giving me a lot of ideas. Thank you.
I think in terms of meaningful work, I think when I was like earlier on, maybe a few years back, I think a lot of it was more of like, because I was doing more socially conscious work. Whatever that means like more social themes in terms of the work. So I think back then that was meaning. But I think recently it has been more of like works that are more, I think like more visceral. So like I don't really care like what it says or what, but then like I feel like meaningful work to me it's when it makes you feel something, right? And then I think like what the rest have mentioned is like when you really commit into something, like giving your all, like be it the performers, really like giving in like a lot, and then kind of just being very invested. I don't know the word, like a verb, adjective that's like into it. So I think that's like meaningful. Yeah, I think.
I think it depends on everybody because everyone defines meaningful differently. And to me, it means something that you won't regret in the future. Yes.
Me, what is meaningful work to me? Why it changes every phase of my life. Yeah, last time I thought that meaningful work means being the best performer or the best actress, right? So I was like, wow, I need to know my craft. I need to know my Stanislavski, my Grotowski, my Brecht. So I really went to study these genres of theatre very deeply, actually. And then, like, no one here knows this about me, but I spent 2 years studying method acting at some point, even just because, like, I was like, I really, in hindsight, I really had such a hunger for, if I don't know something, then I really want to go and throw myself in the ocean. When I encountered Grotowski's work, I realized that, oh, this felt very meaningful to me because it's so embodied. I'm using my body all the time. And then as I created my solo pieces, I felt a sense of like, oh, but meaning started to be about doing the work with other people and not alone, because even when we were rehearsing for this work, there were so many new possibilities that could only happen because there were 9 or 10 people in the room. Even with the 3 of us, our possibilities together were more than one, but it was still quite limited. And then for me, it opened up ideas of like, actually, what is theatre even? Does it need to have a story to be meaningful? And I think this is also a question that we were talking about that day. And if theatre doesn't need a story, then what is that burning heart of theatre that makes it theatre? Yeah, or makes it performance. So that's the question that I am asking now, and I feel like anything I do that points towards this question is meaningful work.
I was going to say at first connection, because it's true. When I first started, I was never in theatre school or anything. And usually as a visual artist, I am in my own little cubbyhole, like just drawing away in silence, with my own music. So I'm alone, And of course, working with the 3 of them at first, when we were doing the process of, in a way, training me, I would say that was so meaningful for me. And it's so funny because no one saw it. But, and then of course with connection with other people now, like now that we've worked together, as much as like I don't know your lives or who you are as people, but there is this something that we've built, and we're going to show it to other people to let it spread. And even for me as an audience watching a performance, I started to realize that when I watch something, this is personal to me, if I get goosebumps, not in the cringy sense, because I know the difference, I'm like, something is here. I can't describe it. I feel it. I feel my body heating up. I don't know what this sensation is. I'm not even going to put a name to it, but if I were to say it, I think that's meaningful. So, yeah, that's for me.
Okay, I had the same question when I was BA PM Year 3.
She's her senior.
Yeah. Yeah, for context, yes. I think, okay, one other question that came up when everyone was answering was, as a creator, how can meaningful work be produced but also not be self-indulgent? I think that was like a huge question that I have, and because it's been a year that I've been teaching. So as a Pilates instructor, I don't just teach group classes. I teach privates also. I teach like prenatal, and I teach elderly. So that, and some people who have some individuals who have injuries. So I realized after leaving school and doing this probably health and wellness industry that I found meaning in being able to help others, in being able to educate others, which went back to, as long as I could affect them and they knew what the effect was, I felt that it was valuable and meaningful. So then, in my head, I was like trying to answer the question just now, trying to answer the question in my head. And then the moment you say that, I felt goosebumps, I don't know how to describe, I was like, that's it. I just need to feel affected as someone watching. And then that is meaningful.
There is the response that's coming from Beatrice's side about the goosebumps part. We had a very similar conversation the day before as well about like indifference. Yeah, I think like what were we saying? The worst reaction that you can have to artistic work is indifference. Because not even hate. Because if you hate, that means it moved you in some way, right? Even if you don't like it, yeah. Because I watched like a film like in it was in the Tate. I remember it was in the Tate Modern, like in the UK, and so there are like so many different like things that we loved. Marina Abramovic was like one of the highlights during that time. And there was one that was I don't want to say like what exactly it was. It was a film. It was kind of like the prologue was, the synopsis was quite like interesting. It was kind of controversial in that sense. They were trying to explore like the idea of like plants themselves having quote unquote life. They were going some very inappropriate places in a certain sense. Basically, the man was naked and like he was in and amongst the ferns, and and so you read the whole like description, and you're like, oh my god, that sounds really interesting. And so I sat there and I watched it, and I sat there and I watched it, and I hated it. Like, I thought like I would be, oh my goodness, I'm so excited by like this, because like I thought they were trying to push something, but at the end of it, yeah, so I remember coming out of it and just like, I don't know what it was, but I hated it. Like I was just like, it was not, and it wasn't even because the subject that they were trying to explore. I totally loved the idea of the subject that but I just kind of like looked at the execution and like, oh man, there was like so much that could have been happening in that sense. He was like full on naked, you know, like in the middle of the trees and the bushes and doing stuff like that. Yeah, it was a. It's a Taiwanese filmmaker, I think. Like it was from. You know this one? This one? Yes.
It's
Yes.
the one that you have to like enter behind the wall.
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh wait, I
yes.
watched it too.
Yes,
I love
yes,
it.
yeah. And so like he was like basically like, you know, like
so boring.
embracing the plants and like, you know, the whole things. I was really bored. I'm sorry. Yeah, shout out man. Like shout out man. Like I mean I love the you know the whole thing, but I just like, yeah, what was going on? Like I watched that and oh my goodness, yeah. So like that for me was like still better than the indifference, because at least I found things to like not like about it in that sense.
At least you know what you don't want to make.
Yes, yeah. And so like in that sense, like that's another complete like I guess dimension of meaningful work. I think like you just have to make it, because like the decision in terms of whether it is liked or whether it is hated or whether or not you can relate to it, like as the artist you are not in control of any of that, like at any given point in time. And so like the meaningful, the idea of meaningful for me has drifted away from, I think, like okay, what does the audience like want? What would be beneficial to society right now? That's just the space that I'm at. I'm not saying that it's not the right way, because I think it exists like differently, because I did that too. It was also at a point I was also doing like works where it was very centered on certain meanings and certain, like I've done pieces about war, I've done pieces about this, even though I've never been through a war. You know, it's like a whole thing. So I guess like when you ask like meaningful work now, I think like I just need to make the most like honest version of what is inside exist. That's all it needs to do. If it doesn't exist, no one can choose. And if no one can choose, there is no meaning to be had. And then the other part is really just building on the same thing, is that a bit witchy-woo, a bit metaphysical, that the past, present, and future are all simultaneous. I don't know if you've heard this one before. That like there is no separation between past, present, and future actually, because time is relative. So what we are experiencing now is as such. Which means like now, the present, the future is also actually happening, and the past can also be altered by the future as well. Like it's very crazy to think about. I don't want to get into the metaphysics of it, but when I think about all those things, I just get so like to the point where like it truly is, we are not in control of anything at all, right? And the only thing that we can control is like us, like in terms of like what it is that we are doing. So it's like our like I guess divine duty to allow it to exist, and then that's just it. Let's go! Here it comes! Yeah.
Wait, Alex wants to say something first. I'll say very quick, is that I was burning when you said, what you can control is yourself, because for the longest time I thought arts was to create for others to consume, whether it's entertainment, whether it is something, but why I got so deeply involved was because it transformed me, and then in its continuing transformation of myself, then it helped others. So I was like, that's so interesting. I just need to focus on myself, and somehow it connects across. Of course, it works in tandem, like in that sometimes there's more listening from the other, but by focusing on myself, or why do I want to do this? What's my journey next? What is it called for me next? It helped me a lot in making work that I thought was also meaningful to others, even teaching others.
Yeah, and sorry, to add on if I forget, right? And that's why we love, the world loves like superhero movies and like stories and mythologies, because it is a representation of what is possible. And I feel like the role of the artist is to embody that possibility. So when you liberate yourself, you are actually already liberating people who you have not even met in your life. So the question should be, what should I, like, what is shackling me, and how, and what is my attitude towards it, and what do I intend to do about it? And so it's very crazy, but it's like by funneling and working on yourself, you're actually helping humanity more.
I think there are a lot of times people say you have to do meaningful work. But to me, sometimes I just question, do we really always have to do meaningful work? But I think in the end, sometimes it really is about do something that you want to do. Because in the end, meaningful, it might pop out maybe 10 years later, or maybe other people can see it differently. So it's meaningful for others, but maybe not meaningful for somebody else. So I really think it's to find something that you care about, something you care for, and just do what you want at the moment first.
And I think to just add on, and I totally agree with what everyone just said, to add on to like once you find what you want to create, you have to, and you find the essence of that, it's like really committing to that. And I think the danger, and sometimes it happens to all of us, is that we find the essence and we question ourselves and we're like, you know, maybe I should tone it down so that it's more accessible. Maybe like people don't understand this, it's too weird. Like if you want to be weird, like go full out 200% be weird, you know, like you feel whatever the essence is, like really commit to that. I think that is the practice, and that is the really hard part that we have to struggle with. Yeah.
There's something that our lecturers would like to say is like, if you want to do, just do it. Don't 爱走卖走 like that. Like 要做不做，要做不做 then it's like 啪 something like that.
Yeah. 因为我的老师以前常常说，其实没有不好的表演者，只有心虚的表演者。就是你要真的是很全心全意的，你知道你自己在做什么，然后你去做，我觉得这就是非常有意义的。而且我觉得有一个重点是共鸣吧，就作为观众或者是作为表演者，有意义的可能是那个你跟他在就是你们两个灵魂互相震动的时候，你就发现哦，哎呦的那种感觉，我觉得是很有意义的时刻。但我觉得很多作品其实可能你当下看你没有感觉，或者是你觉得这样子，但是很多时候它会在 maybe 好几天后或者好几个月后，你会突然想到哦，这个作品我看过，或者是你遇到什么又突然又一起了。所以我觉得接受跟你怎么样去面对跟看待这个作品，或者看到你遇到的事情是很重要的。
For me, I think in this stage of my life, meaningful work to me is work that I need and that I think the world needs. So to me, like a lot of times I think about time a lot. That people come and watch shows, they're taking their time. I see something, I take time to invest in it. I take time to develop it. And so a lot of times I think about like how to make this time worth it for me, for the world to see. And without making it obviously like all about myself, I really like, I think in this stage of my life, I wonder like what the world needs that I can do to fulfill it. And I think a lot of times then I subtract myself from the picture without realizing that like I'm also a part of the world. And I think a lot of the things that I make, even though I think, okay, this is good for somebody else, this is what I want somebody else to hear, but actually I think a lot of times it's also something that I wish somebody had told me. And I think, meaningful work to me right now is like being able to help another person, being able to, whether it is like to make work that brings us forward in a certain way, that I think brings us forward, but that hopefully, I really hope that it's good for everyone, kind of thing. And I also totally agree with what Renise said just now about like, what did you say just now again?
When you liberate yourself, you are liberating other people.
Yeah, so true. It's like, a lot of times they say like, life imitates art and art elevates life. Like, I think a lot of times I would think like, is the content of my work like meaningful enough? Or like, like I have nothing to say. I think a lot of times I'm always chasing for something to say. And I feel like if I don't feel strong enough for it, then my work will not be good enough. And I think in times like this, I find that like maybe in this stage right now, my meaning comes from another source outside of myself. And then that is when I discovered that like maybe in this stage of my life, meaningful work to me is to help others and at the same time with others. Yeah, that's meaningful work to me right now that can affect other people, and I'm working with people who also want to be affected.
All I want to say is I don't know the quote, but it was, we've been performing all of our lives to everyone in the streets. We've been performing like a father figure, a son, a daughter, but a student. So when do we put down the mask and truly be ourselves? Yeah, something along the lines. Bye.
Dinner with Andre.
Dinner of Andre. I mean the movie. Last words from everyone.
I think the word alluring comes to my mind, like how everyone's energy and just the past. I mean, even though I've joined half of it, but then like everyone's energy and everything is just very alluring. So I think that's my last word.
I think for me, the word is practice. And I was having this conversation with some of you that the more I'm training in dance, in my arts, the more I find it's really this combination of mind, body, and soul. And in a way, like getting better at it is just a side effect. Like the practice that's it, like that is the point. And getting better at it will just come with it, but it's just a side effect. And I find that to be very fulfilling.
I think one word that I have is precious, because I feel like how many things needed to have aligned for all of us to sit here, like right now, and to have shared like all these moments, because it could have been like, oh, I have some other commitment, and then like easily you're like not in the space anymore, or you know, so all the things that, of all the possibilities that could be happening in our lives right now, this is happening, this sharing of space is happening, and I think it's very precious. Yeah.
我觉得是相信，我要收回刚说的接受，因为我觉得接受是单向的，但是相信是双向的，就是你除了相信你自己，你也相信你在做的事情，你相信你的身体，你相信你做得到，你在做的时候，你相信这个空间跟你自己的所有的状态，然后当你相信的时候，你就可以去到你如果觉得不相信的时候，你可能去不到的地方，所以我觉得相信是很重要的事情。
It's nice to be back. It's also very refreshing, I said that earlier, and precious to see for me personally how different I am a year ago, and then a few months ago, and then now. Yeah, so thank you.
That one word is bonfire, because like we all came from different background, different practices, just like the wood. We are all gathered at this moment. I think it's very, very precious. And at the same time, we all are burning something that we enjoy, that we love, trying to come up with something, which is maybe it's the fire. So I find this moment is very, very precious. Yeah.
If it's a single word, it's overwhelmed. The other one, why? Because the alignment that you were speaking about, like how many things had to sort of like magically align for us to sort of like be here and experience that. I'm at a stage where I am a believer of this one statement. The universe is experiencing itself at every given second. Like this universe that we live in is experiencing itself, which means through your lens, every single one of us, every single shared experience and everything is really the universe like giving itself each experience and each color as it goes at every single point in time. And so like everything is meant to like happen at the time that it was meant to. The parts where I love the most, the parts where I hurt people the most, the part where I was hurt the most, and all those things are all like perfectly aligned to sort of like fall into place here. Everything is like perfectly sort of just, you know, so that's why I'm overwhelmed and so grateful to just like be on the ride, like with the bonfire. Yeah. That was a line, yeah, and so that's it for me. Yes.
Guys, I finally found what I want to say with this piece. I want to say that 只要还有一个人在呼吸，这个世界上就有一团火在为你燃烧。For as long as there is one last person, for as long as there is one person breathing, there will be a fire in this world that is burning for you. And that is what I want to say.
Guys, I got you.
Okay, my word is very simple. No, it's a sentence. The joy of being human. So yeah. So if it's a word, humans. Okay.
I guess mine is discovery and contact. Every time I do this work, there's something new that's challenging to me. And this time around, actually, contacting the other was surprisingly challenging, or like the most challenging for me. But to accomplish it in our last activity was so magical. I was like, oh my God, yes, I'm contacting, this is it. The fire is burning, I'm changing color. Then, like, the work was accomplished. And then that was quite some experience.
I don't know what to say. I just feel like agreeing with also what Mei Fei said, that I feel it is moments like this that made me realize why I do theatre. And meeting, I think, each of you and going on this journey with you not only makes me feel less alone, but also it makes me believe that the divine exists. Like,
Thank you so much for watching.
goodbye.